Hello, I'm Amelia,
And I'm Abby,
and this
and
is
this is Spooky
Spooky
Stories
Stories.
with the Sinister Sisters.
All right, Abby,
We'll be in sync at one point.
at some point we will. We say that, and we probably never will be.
We'll figure it out eventually.
Okay, this story I have today I have 4 pages, 4 full pages long
Oh,
of information.
that's a lot.
Yeah, and it was really hard to try and figure out how I want to order it, like what I want to read first. So I guess I'm just going to tell you what it is. So, this is a haunting. However, it is a haunting that, how do I word this? It has to do with what's the word? A true crime case, a murder case that leads into a haunting. So,
Okay.
all these facts I have are true facts. It's nothing like folklore. This is all true. And man, this is a story. I have found this story I've had it for about 2 weeks, and I keep adding more information, and I can't stop thinking about this case. It is honestly, I'm going to tell everybody right now that it is not solved, so there is no conclusion to this.
Fun. That's
Yeah,
great.
no conclusion, but it's like, and I had told you that I had found another source right before we came here, and
Mm-hmm.
it added so much new information. So, I guess I should just start. Do you have any questions about anything?
No.
Anything we need to address before I start this
No.
long?
I think we're good to get into it.
All right, so I'm going to start with the details of the case itself. So this happened back in 1948. Stanley Skridla was 28 years old. He was a Navy veteran, U.S. Navy. He was born May 8th of 1920. He went to a school in Rockford, and he served in the U.S. Navy from October 1943 until December 1945. In February 1946, he was employed by the Illinois Bell Telephone Company as a lineman. He lived with his widowed mother, Amelia. I love that name.
Wonder why.
On Loomis Street in Rockford. Now, here is where we meet the infamous, as I'm going to call her, Mary Jane Reed, who grew up in Oregon, Illinois. She was very popular, especially with the boys, said that she had a great smile and blondish red hair and blue eyes. The two met through their jobs with the telephone company. She was an operator, and Stanley met her while working as a lineman in the area. They immediately were attracted to each other. So Stanley shot his shot, and
He shoot
asked
his
her
shot.
out. Okay. Anyways, what is the word? He shot his shot, right?
I
He shot his
think
shot. I
he
don't
shot a
know. I'm not
shot.
hip. I'm not hip. Anyways, Stanley decided he wanted to go out with her. So they went on their first date on June 24th, 1948. I know I'm just throwing so many dates, but they really don't matter. After Mary's shift, which ended at 10 p.m., they went to multiple taverns, bars, all around. And Mary was one of those people that said that she was definitely like a party girl, kind of. Like she visited many bars in the area. That was just kind of like her thing. So,
Love that for her.
I know, good for her, right? Living her best life. Did I say what age she was? Did I tell you she was 17? She was 17. If I didn't say that, I don't think I did. She was 17. He was 28.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But this was back in 1948. So,
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
so the last time the two were seen alive was around 11:30 p.m. when they went to a local tavern. After this, the next time they were seen was at 6 a.m. when they found Stanley's body. Where they found Stanley's body. Jack Skrid was the man who found the body. He was heading down a country road that was known as being Lover's Lane, which was the big makeout area of the town.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he found Stanley's body in a ditch. The police found that he was shot 4 times, once in the chest and 3 times in the lower abdomen. Later the day, they found his car on White Pines Road off of Highway 2. His keys and wallet were not found, and neither was Mary Jane.
Oh.
The police, so they don't know where she is. He's found where in some back road with no keys, no wallet. His car was gone, and they can't find her. So the police begin the search, but they had started it off by basically having no hope that they would find her alive. They weren't taking it as a rescue mission. They were knowing they were going to find a body of Mary, and she was not going to be breathing anymore. So they had no hope for finding her alive, which is kind of upsetting. It's like
more than kind of upsetting.
It's like they didn't even put the hope in the family. So those feelings unfortunately became true. On June 29th, a truck driver was taking a load and stopped to let another truck pass him. When he did this is kind of like a weird detail in the story that I found online. It says that he had smelled a very strong and strange odor from the side of the road. When he looked around, this is when he found Mary Jane's body lying down in a ditch, face down. He said that weeds were all over her body, but he could tell that she was dead. The way they found her was she was only in her underwear and bra. Of course. Because that's...
Of course.
Yep. The coroner had found no evidence of sexual assault, however, whenever he examined the body. It is said that the cause of death was a gunshot wound. Details differ from source to source. Some say it was in her head, others say it was in her back. And the police had interviewed hundreds of people and have yet to get any clear details. And the case is now cold and has yet to be solved. So, any takes on that before I dive deeper into more current information?
Did they found the guy, right?
They found the guy. They found him first. He was in a ditch on Lover's Lane. And
how did he die? Was he also shot?
Yeah, it says where was it? I literally just threw so much information. The police found that he was shot 4 times, once in the chest and 3 times in the lower abdomen. Yeah, so both of them were found shot, but in 2 different locations. And later on, with this last source I found, there's just more details, more in-depth details. Mm-hmm. So, now we have the current information that is kind of not super duper current, but definitely like way, way more current than 1948. This is more like 2018, 17 era.
Okay.
So, the former mayor, Mike Ahrens, of Northern Illinois City, is in charge of making one last attempt to solve this case. This is his mission. So much so that he spent more than $100,000 of his own money hoping to find the answer.
That's a lot of money.
Yes. So the reason that he had spent all this money is because he owns the tavern that they were last seen alive at before they had drove off.
Okay.
More in that later. I keep saying that, but definitely it's just more in that. So he has a theory. These are his theories that will come in again later on. So his theory is that the killer is definitely now dead. He thinks it's a local law enforcement officer who had an affair with Mary Jane and that a cover-up was orchestrated by other local authorities. In the mid-2000s, there was an investigation that determined 2 brothers most likely killed the couple in a robbery gone wrong, yet nobody has been charged for this case. Mike refuses to accept this, and he wants to find the answer.
Here, good for him, trying to solve a cold case.
Honestly, and he definitely has more reasons, which is getting ready to come up. So, Are you ready for the most mind-boggling thing that has been driving me crazy this whole time I've been researching this?
Oh God. Okay.
So Mike, the former mayor who's trying to figure all this out, organized um, to get Mary Jane's body dug up and reevaluated. And I don't know if you know anything about that,
Oh.
but that's extremely hard to do unless you are, and with him just being the mayor and not even local law enforcement, that is extremely hard to do. But I guess he knew the right people, and those people had the right price. And so her body was dug up in 2005. The forensic anthropologist who was reevaluating her body discovered that he believes that the skull in her casket does not match the rest of her body.
What?
Yes. He does the exam, whatever kind of things they do, he determines that it just, the features and the size and just the overall examination of it does not match with Mary Jane's description nor with the rest of her body that is in the casket.
So it's another person's head.
That is what it is. It's another person's head. Nobody knows how it got there. No, I. That is the most mind-boggling thing, and unfortunately, there literally is no answer. There's no answer. Nobody knows. It's just a
Well,
random.
do you think it was like that they had cut the head off and then like reattached it like before she had decomposed
That
or
could be
something?
possible. That does come up. That is a little speculated later on, but I'm still wondering to how. I guess back then maybe they were. I don't know. Did they have open casket funerals back then? Did they have a funeral back then? Was it because she was murdered? Was she just put in and buried? And with Mike's theory of it being local law enforcement, maybe they had a hand in with the forensic people then, and they were just like, hey, let's keep this undercover, just kind of put her in there and bury her.
That is
I
so weird.
That is just one thing that has confused me so bad. All right. So now we're getting into the spooky, as if this hasn't been spooky already with the head not matching, but the haunting now is where we're really going to dive deep. So, Mike, the former mayor, owns a restaurant named Roadhouse, which is where it is believed that Mary Jane's spirit remains. The building was being renovated from what it was. It was condemned, and he was trying to get it all new and ready to open again. And while it was being renovated, crew members and like the renovation team claimed that they saw a woman walking through and saying how nice it is going to be upon completion, then walk outside and disappear. They said that they saw
Oh.
this multiple times. They would see the same woman just walking around multiple times.
Ew.
Yeah, says that employees claim to see a woman gliding around the room as if she was dancing. Utensils have launched across the kitchen or randomly fallen to the ground. The same song would continually play over and over to the most opportune time for Mary Jane's spirit, like who they believe Mary Jane's spirit. It's like the song would play, and then a couple minutes later, they would see that woman walking who resembled her.
That is so
Mm.
creepy.
Yeah, and like the same song too. It's like it would play and then it would restart and then it would play and then it would restart. I wasn't able to find out what song it is, which is probably best for me because it's probably creepy. Many of the employees there refuse to work late shifts because of all of this happening. Like they refuse
I
to
mean,
work.
I would too. I don't want to work late whenever there's a ghost there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and even after what I'm about to tell you, which is the biggest part of this whole thing, I would quit my job. I wouldn't even work there, period. Like I don't care how much you're paying me. I'm not working there. So my last source that I found was the biggest help of this whole thing, to be honest. Have you ever heard of the show The Dead Files?
No.
Okay, so The Dead Files, I've never heard of it either. Like, I've heard about it, but I've never understood what it is. So it's a pretty cool concept, actually. So they have a psychic named Amy Allen who she sees the ghosts, spirits, and speaks to them, and they can, like, speak to her or through her. And then they have Steve, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. because it's way too hard. But he's a retired New York City homicide detective. So what happens is during the night, Amy will go to whatever location they're at and do like her little tiny investigation thing,
Uh-huh.
while Steve talks with like the owners and people all around and does his like his detective work. And the two never communicate until both of their investigations are done. So
Oh.
Steve has no clue what Amy found, and Amy has no clue what Steve found. So
You know
it's
what?
like
That is a really cool concept.
it really is. So it's like a whole thing. Like, did you find the right things? It's kind of like we all know with TV. I would like to think that all of this is true. I really would.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's not, it did give a bunch more information. So Amy, who's a psychic, whenever she's doing her investigation, she has one cameraman. That's it. She has one cameraman go in with her. And he goes in and he takes away any photos, covers up any photos, any paintings, anything that can influence her by looking at it. So like she
Uh-huh.
won't pass the picture and memorize it and then later on say she sees that person. So do you want to hear Amy's investigation first, or do you want to hear Steve's investigation first?
Um, let's hear Amy's first.
Okay. All right. So Amy's investigation, she is the psychic. I also, this is season 5, episode 5, called The Obsession. I found it on Hulu, the full episode, but it did have ads, and we have Hulu Live, so you might have to find somewhere else if you don't have Hulu Live. But it's very interesting to watch. It really is. Okay. So this is everything from Amy. She steps in. This is literally just notes that I jotted down. So she steps in and says that it feels like the air is getting taken out of her. She can't breathe. Her chest gets tight. She feels this sense of dread in the room and feels that there's no hope there. Like you don't have any hope there, which kind of, I was like, that kind of seems weird because the law enforcement started this whole investigation with no hope of finding her alive.
Yeah. That
So
is weird.
it circles back around. They had no hope with finding her alive, and now she has that sense of those people, whoever is in that now has no hope. I guess maybe no hope of escaping, like getting out where they feel trapped, because a lot of times spirits feel trapped where they died or where they are like to, oh my god. My screen door just slammed closed and it scared the crap out of me. My chest is pounding. I'm gonna cry. Okay, take a breather. Take a breather. Okay. I'm literally shaking. Anyways. Anyways. So, Amy then has a sense. She didn't really say if she can feel. A lot of this time, I couldn't really figure out if she saw them or if she felt them, you know? So I
Yeah.
just kind of jotted down what she said. So she felt or saw a young woman, she said maybe in her 20s. The way she described her was very odd. She said she was a really nasty woman, very physical. Remember, very physical, because that will come in later. And she can do a lot of harm to people physically, like living people physically.
Oh.
Says that she likes to sit by people and try and communicate with them. And she describes her as very wicked. So
That's
not a very nice way to describe somebody.
it's a little rude. It's just like a ghost trying to communicate with someone and you're like, "You're wicked. You're awful."
Yeah. And it's like, I get she's a psychic and doing that, but like, I would be so scared to describe somebody, because that's
As
almost like
wicked?
taunting them. That's almost like taunting
Yeah.
them. And we know that taunting spirits does not get you anywhere. Anywhere good, at least. Zach Baggins, don't taunt spirits. She says that she feels that whatever is in the restaurant, the tavern, the bar, whatever is in there can majorly affect living people. So it's not just affecting like the building, it's not just throwing things. It can severely affect living people. She feels a dark, dark presence. The way she described it was like a solid darkness. She said it's not like
Oh.
something that you can just, it's just a dark thing you see. She's like, when you look into the hallway, it is solid darkness. And it's not because it's dark. She said there's something there that is making it solid dark, which to me feels demonic. Like it does not feel like
Yeah, a little bit.
anything good at all. So there's like different parts of this tavern bar place. So she's now going into the theater part of it, which as soon as she enters here, her tone of voice just dropped. Like it completely changed. Not that she was happy go lucky, but it was like she said that it was just so much worse as soon as she walked in there. She did not feel welcome. And one thing that comes up a lot is that she finds it very hard to focus on what the spirits are trying to tell her.
Mm.
That this is something where it goes back to that solid darkness. She says that she does not understand how whatever is there has gotten there, and that they have to do with religion, but religion cannot help get rid of them. She thinks that it has to deal
Huh.
with like a demonic religion that got them there, but no religion can help free them. Does that like, I guess like that means that you can't get the building saged or anything.
Exercise.
Yeah, because nothing
Yeah.
will help. They're just there. And as she's doing all this, she has a sudden feeling that her mind is getting erased. Like that she,
What?
yeah, she can't remember. Like some it's like going through one ear and out the other. She cannot remember what anything is telling her. It's like they're refusing to let her keep her memories from being in this building.
That's so weird.
She then says that they're trying to make it where she cannot find things out. So they're trying to confuse her, they said. She feels that the dead people who are there want to talk to her, but they physically cannot. That there is something blocking them, and that it's also not letting the living people talk, like the people who work there. It's not letting them talk about it either.
That's so creepy.
This dark thing is blocking everybody's sense of communication with her, which to me it makes me wonder why. Makes me wonder if this dark sense is Mary and she doesn't, like, did she do something where she doesn't want to be solved? But like, why would you not want your murder case to be solved, you know?
I mean,
But
I don't know.
I also wonder if it's somebody else who, like, that building is so old, somebody else is there and maybe they're a murder case and like their case didn't get solved, so they're jealous that Mary's is. And they're like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna
Now they
let
don't
her.
want anyone else's solved.
Right. If they're like, if our mine didn't get solved, I don't want anybody else's solved. Which is like kind of rude. Amy then says you've seen like psychics on TV how they can like if they'll like kind of feel the pain that the victims feel.
Yeah.
So she says that she wants to scream and cry, but whatever that darkness there is physically not letting her do it. It is not letting her any kind of emotions out. She's literally suffering on the inside and it's not letting her express it out.
Wow.
She says that the things will leave with people who enter the building and that they will not come back. They will stay with you. If it leaves with you, you cannot get rid of it.
Guess I know where I'm never going.
Literally, I will not go anywhere near there. She says that this thing, and it's like she says like thing or thing. She's not really sure like how many of this darkness is there. That it's hurting people and that has done very, very bad things after it has left the building. And I guess attached to people and left.
That's
She then
awful.
she then goes into the basement.
Oh, so smart.
Yeah. So this is where she's no longer really she's finding more spirits there. She's no longer just finding that darkness there. So as she enters the basement, she finds two or three people there. She definitely finds a man and a woman. The female has brown curly hair. and is wearing a dress of some sort, and that she hears that she is up to no good and feels that the spirits there are scared. So again, like in the beginning, what'd she say? She said something in the beginning about somebody being wicked or nasty.
Uh-huh.
So definitely could be the two same people with being wicked and nasty and the up to no good. But those spirits feel terrified to be there.
Oh.
So I'm thinking it's that darkness that's kind of affecting them for them to be terrified of it.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's kind of crazy that even in your afterlife, you are still, like, you can be getting affected by spirits in your life now, and then in your afterlife, those same spirits can still be scaring you.
That's crazy.
It's like you can't leave them. That's really freaky to me.
It is. It's weird.
So, as she's in the basement, she believes that both the man and the woman were both the victims of some sort. She's not really sure at this time. She then says that she believes that the two knew each other and were very close. Now she's getting the sense of what happened to them. She says that she feels that the two were killed at the same time, and she says, or very effing close to the same time. I'm not going to curse because my parents listen to this. But she says that they were killed either right at the same time or it was very close to the same time. Like it wasn't days and days apart.
Yeah.
She then gets like hit in the upper, not like physically hit, but she feels that hit, like she doesn't move.
Yeah.
She feels a force or a pressure hit her in the upper left shoulder, or no, the upper left of her back. And then that, she says it overwhelms her with a feel of that this was a full-on sneak attack. Like,
Oh.
just out of nowhere from behind, was not expecting it whatsoever. She says she feels a lot of pain. She gets the feeling of being stabbed in the chest and back area. It's like sharp pains, feeling of being crushed to the throat. To the throat, remember that. She thinks that the female is the throat and the male is the back. So, just remember the throat, and like with what you said, maybe decapitation. If it was the female,
Oh.
yeah, if she felt that pain
Yeah.
in her throat and the head doesn't match, it seems to line up. And at this point,
Yeah.
remember, Amy has no clue. She doesn't know anything prior to anything that's happening. Steve doesn't even know. He's learning all about this the day after Amy does all of this. So where was I? She feels that the female is the throat and the male is the back. Feels that there are 3 people who are involved in the situation. 2 men and 1 woman. Then gets an image of a guy holding a shotgun to somebody with rage in like their face, and they're just overwhelmed with the feeling of rage. They're trying to communicate what happened, but again, that darkness isn't letting. Like, it's not letting her figure out. It's not letting this person tell her exactly what happened to them. It's like this one chance that they have to get their case solved. This darkness is not letting them whatsoever.
That's so creepy.
At this point, Amy has now covered her face and she starts going, no, 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 no. Like something like she's seeing something that is bad to her, or she's just getting that overwhelmed feeling like something is just not good here. She says that the dead is really not being allowed to speak, and that this darkness is maintaining control over them and is keeping them trapped. And she uses the words that the darkness is torturing them. Not the living, torturing the dead spirits that are also there.
That's awful.
Just imagine, like, no longer being alive and still not being able to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot, that one chance that you had of somebody to communicate, and it's like, people, I don't know if any other investigations have gone on here, but it's like, I wonder if other people who take like those EVPs there, are they allowed to communicate with that, or is that darkness stopping
I'd imagine it
anybody.
stopped that too.
And that's just crazy that something has that much power in its afterlife to do all that, which really only could be that big, like, force of a demon or something very dark for sure. So at the end of Amy's investigation, she meets up with a sketch artist, and there she describes the woman that she found in the basement, and the sketch artist draws it all up, and then we will get that revealed at the end of the episode. We are in Steve's investigation. This is the retired homicide detective. So he starts off by interviewing the former mayor, and the mayor tells him about all the noises that he has, the seeing things fly across the room, people being touched, and he also says that he's losing a ton of business because of this haunting. So, and a lot of the time, that was kind of crazy to me because a lot of the times if something's haunted, you'll see more business. But it's almost like that darkness is so bad that people just don't even want to step foot in the building.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to step in the building.
No, not after hearing all this. So, again, so we get told that this is where Mary Jane had spent her last night alive. Um, Mike, the former mayor, had spent that $100,000 that we know of, but a ton of extra money solving the case that he ended up losing his home and had to move into the building that he now owns. The reason that Mike, where did it go? The reason that Mike finds the need to find the solution is that he claims that whenever he like slows down on the casework, kind of backs off a little bit, that's whenever this intense spirit, like he thinks it's Mary Jane's spirit, routinely visits the restaurant and just the activity there majorly increases. So anytime he takes a break from the case, it's like activity after activity after activity where he feels the need to go back into the case as if like he's so close and she knows that he's close to finding out what happened that she doesn't want him to back away from it.
Yeah.
He says that in the theater, where this is where Amy said that it was like a sense of like just utter darkness, that the building, the owner saw the theater of the building, the owner saw an apparition of a young girl. He was following her. He said he was about 7 seconds behind her, but by the time he had got to the door that she had walked out of, she disappeared. Like he saw her disappear. Now Steve is a
Oh.
skeptic. The homicide detective is a skeptic. He was like, "Well, couldn't it just be like a normal person?" And he goes, "The way that she disappeared is something that no person can do."
Yeah.
So he says that he also sees shadows out of the corner of his eye, and he does not see the shadows when they're open. He only sees it when nobody's there because Steve had asked him, well, can't that be just like another person who's there? And he said, no, it only happens whenever I am here by myself, is that I see shadows.
That is so weird.
And then here's one interesting thing is that Steve is interviewing the employees there, and he does an interview with the TV camera, and he says like he feels that the employees are hiding something, that they had all worked together to compromise a story that they won't tell because they're not telling him any information. He'll ask a question and they'll just be like, it's just crazy, which to me was kind of weird. But then you go back to Amy's, what she said, how this darkness is refusing to let the spirits talk, but also refusing to let the living talk.
Yeah. I
So
didn't think of that.
this darkness is somehow refusing to let people talk about what they're seeing, which I'm almost wondering if was it so bad that it was traumatizing to them that it's like if they talk about it, they're afraid they're going to see it again?
That's a
Or
good point.
or does this darkness just have this power over these people there, which is strange to me because why would I say why would this darkness choose to just control the employees and the spirits but leave Mike, who's trying to solve this case, let him talk all about it? I wonder how much he's getting affected by it And that's why he slows down. And then that's why the activity picks up, because Mary Jane does not want to be trapped in that darkness anymore. Maybe once her case gets solved, she is then free from being trapped with that darkness.
Yeah.
So then Steve has interviewed with an employee named Marge. She is like the longest employee there. And she had unfortunately experienced something that she believes has followed her to her home.
Oh.
Yes, she said it is a very, very dark spirit. She has a big, heavy comforter on her bed, and she had felt one night at the end of her bed something clawing at it, and then it yanked it off of her. And
I would scream so loud.
literally, that's like Paranormal Activity. It like freaks me out so bad. She thinks that the building does not want them to, what she says, she thinks that the thing in the building does not want them to talk about it. So again, keeping that secret. Like, why, what kind of thing would it want you to talk about them? Because I find a lot in stories that I find that these evil spirits want to be shown off, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they want to make their presence known, but whatever this is does not want to be known. Maybe it's not a demon. Maybe it's somebody who is the reason that Mary Jane and Steve are dead, and they don't want to be caught, even in their afterlife.
I mean, it could be. That's really
Because
weird, though.
because Amy did say that she had felt two other people in the basement with the two who were murdered. She had felt two other people. It's just crazy that something could have that much control.
Yeah.
So, then Steve had talked with Mike, who's the former mayor and the owner, said that he has a bunch of information on the case, but Steve didn't feel right going to the owner. He thinks that maybe there was some kind of bias. So Steve goes to meet with Bill. I didn't catch Bill's last name. I'm sure it was hard to pronounce, so we're just going to call him Bill, who has all the case files, all the information on this case. And they meet and they discuss everything about this case. So I wrote down everything that Bill had told Steve that they had talked about. And I'm sure a lot of it is going to be repetitive from what I said at the very beginning. But I think it's good to end with this kind of, because it'll kind of try and connect everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if stuff's repetitive, I apologize. But there's a lot of new information that I'm going to try to go back and connect. So let's go back to, real quick, the theories that the owner, Mike, has. So his theory was that the killer was now dead law enforcement officer who had an affair with Mary Jane, and that they covered it up with an orchestrated law authorities. And then that was his theory. So his theory is a cop killed him because of an affair. And then in the mid-2000s, it was an investigation that determined two brothers most likely killed him in a robbery gone wrong. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two leading theories. And I'm glad I watched the Dead Files episode, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have had any of this information. Because those theories kind of confused me, because at that point, there wasn't any other information online about why there was thoughts of an affair, why there was a robbery gone wrong, nothing. But this Bill guy, he had everything. Like, he told you everything you needed to know. So this is what he lays on us, and it just gets crazy. So Steve and Mary again meet up at a bar, and they're out on their dates, going all to the different bars, and they meet up with Deputy Sheriff. His nickname was Jigs. Okay, I didn't catch his real name. I just called his nickname, and I like his nickname more. So now remember, Mary Jane is 17. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He is a 42-year-old married man who is rumored to be having an affair with Mary Jane.
Wow.
And he's a deputy sheriff. Don't forget, he is the sheriff of the town. So, Steve, Mary, and Jiggs all ended up in a big argument because the sheriff was almost forcing Mary to leave Steve and to leave with him, saying stuff like Steve isn't a good guy, just all this kind of manipulation stuff to get Mary to leave with him. So, remember how Amy had said that this girl can get physical, that this spirit can get physical?
Mm-hmm.
Mary had ended up slapping the sheriff before they left. She slapped him and they booked it out of there because she just really liked Steve at this point and she just did not want to deal with Jigs anymore and his lying and all of that stuff. So, Steve and Mary get in Steve's nice car, don't know what it was, got in his car, and they leave and go to Stenhouse, which is now Roadhouse, which is where the haunting is taking place. So it was Stenhouse back in 1948. And according to witnesses, Steve had gotten out of the car. They were getting ready to go inside. Steve had gotten out. Mary's still in the car. Steve stops in his tracks, turns around, goes back, gets back into the car, and they leave. So he was planning on going in, but something had stopped him, and he's like...
And they just left.
They just left. These same witnesses said that as they were leaving, they noticed that they were being followed by an older model car with two good-sized guys in it, is what Bill said. It was said that whenever they left, that's whenever they went to Lover's Lane, which is where Steve's body was found, with multiple gunshots in his abdomen and possibly one gunshot in his back. 4 days later, about a mile away is where Mary's body was found in the ditch. They said that it is one gunshot wound in the base of the skull.
Wow.
Which makes me wonder if they determined that was the skull that was in there. Did it not have that gunshot wound in there? Is that how they realized that it wasn't the same?
That's crazy.
You just have a missing gunshot wound that you determine? Or was there no gunshot wound to the face? Was there no gunshot wound to the skull? And it's just all getting hit and everybody's just trying to protect the sheriff guy. Everybody's just trying to protect him, make sure he don't get caught. So, like I said in the beginning, no arrest happened, but there are two possibilities, two speculations of what happened. Jigs, who's the sheriff, he was never charged with anything. Let me tell you why. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
He was the leading detective for this case.
Oh, that's so great.
So any of his information that he had, any of his evidence, was useless because he was the leading detective. It was like bias or whatever term they use. It had no say in this case whatsoever. No say. So he couldn't use that Mary hit him. He couldn't use that they met up with him. He couldn't use that he had an affair with her because he was the leading detective. He was a sheriff. Which is just fantastic for the law enforcement back then. That's just awesome.
So great.
The two other suspects are the men who followed them from the bar. Harry DeShazo? I hope that's pronounced right. He ended up going to the sheriff's office later on, and he is attempting to confess to the sheriff that, and I don't know if it's the same sheriff or not. I don't know if it's still Jigs or not. Not sure. They never clarified it. But he's confessing that him and his brother Perry followed them to rob them, and it went wrong and ended up killing them because Steve had fought him off or something, and they had shot Steve, but then Mary was a witness, so they felt like they had to kill her, so she didn't go and tell the police. Well, they had told the sheriff this, yet it had not gotten anywhere. The sheriff sat on that information and never followed up with it. He
of course.
kept it to himself. So I'm thinking it was the same. I'm thinking it was Jigs. I'm thinking it was the same sheriff.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why else he wouldn't follow up with it.
Right. Again, I don't know. The law enforcement seems to be very sketchy back then. Very, very sketchy. Mary Jane's brother was, at this point, whenever the thing was filmed, not sure if he is anymore, Warren was still alive and still in his hometown. So Steve had actually set up to meet with him. And Warren had said that his sister's murder destroyed his family in ways that he would think wouldn't be possible. Like, he said that he understands that this is such a drastic thing and that it can harm a family, but he says that the way it destroyed his family feels dark. Again,
Oh.
it's the darkness. Yeah. So, Warren's side, this is what he believes. Warren believes that it was the sheriff. He says that he would see the sheriff stop and sit in his car and watch Mary while she was in their house or in their backyard.
Ew.
He says that he would find him in the front yard, in the side of their house, in the back of their house, just watching her and her family. He says that he felt that that he was obsessed and also jealous of her. And Steve had asked, like, why do you think he was jealous? And he had said that anytime Mary was seen with another guy, that it was somehow the guy that Jigs would just show up more often.
Mm.
Like, he just couldn't stand that she was with somebody else. So whenever all of this happened, Warren was 6 years old, and at the time, the two detectives had came to the house whenever they had found Mary Jane's body and unfortunately told his mom all about it. And he said that her legs became weak and she started to fall and the police had to hold her up. She was just in so much disbelief, which I can't even imagine how much disbelief she was in that
Yeah.
something like this happens. Later on, the police had ended up sending his mom to a mental hospital where she had stayed there for a year because it had just affected her so bad. He said that she was just nervous of everything and that when she had came back home, he said that it was no longer his mom. Like, he did not recognize her, that she was still nervous, but the nerves had gone to more extreme cases. And again, he used the word dark, like it was just a dark state of mind for his mom. He ends up showing Steve a photo of his parents on their 50th wedding anniversary, which I will try and find to post on our social media. I'm going to try and find, there's tons of pictures that I need to post. But he had showed Steve a picture of their 50th wedding anniversary, and the look in his mom's face was like she was just miserable. Like, she looked like both his mom and his father looked like almost somebody was holding them hostage. Like, the photo they took was absolutely miserable in their face.
Oh.
And Warren had made one promise to his mother before she died, and she had looked him in the eyes and said that all she wanted him to do was to find out who killed Mary Jane. So he had told her that he will do the best he can. So that is all the information that we have gotten from both Steve and from Amy, both their sides. So now we're at the end of the episode, end of the show, and this is where they come together and they're meeting with Mike, the former mayor and owner, and Margs, the one who had the experience with the comforter being pulled off of her.
Mm-hmm.
So they come together and they discuss their findings. I'm going to send you, maybe, let me find, here it is, my phone. I was sitting on it. So remember how Amy had sent the sketch, had
Yeah.
talked to the sketch artist? So I'm going to post this and I'm going to post the photo of Mary Jane. And so they pull up the sketch artist and they don't look exactly the same, but this is the things that are pointed out is the cheek line and the eyebrows look very similar. I think
Mm-hmm.
even the eyes look similar and the lips. Like, the bottom lip does definitely look similar.
Yeah.
But again, it's a sketch artist, so she was just describing the best she could. But the cheek lines are definitely a say of her. Definitely look like her. And the tip of the nose as well.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking the same exact thing.
It's kind of and like, again, I'm going to post this on our Instagram to go look at. But they had covered up all the photos, and Mike does have photos of Mary and them in there, but they had covered it all up before Amy had went in. So there's no way for her to know who it is. And I feel like that if she saw a photo, why would she not be more descriptive to get a more accurate sketch drawing to make it more believable?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she would have used that to her advantage. So, Amy believes, just from what she knows, that the woman indicated that it was two males who killed them. The brother, Harry and Perry. Easy to remember. This is where Steve brings up the situation about the head not matching the body, which connects to Amy finding those throat issues where she said she was having that throat pain. And they both believe that for some reason the head was decapitated. There's no reason to why. Maybe it was an accident, maybe it wasn't. They just feel that there's something weird about that. And again, there is literally no solution. Nobody knows why the head thing happened. Nobody at all. Then Steve believes that it was Perry and his brother who confessed about the robbery. He believes that's who it was, and really there's not much to say. Like, they're both dead. There's really no more confessing. So then they're discussing just about how Amy said that there's things that can attach to you, and Marge tells her about her story, and that was really the end of the episode. No conclusion, just more confusion. Personally, this is kind of what I think Steve mentioned at one point, which I agree with. I think that Sheriff Jiggs is behind it, but
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of redid all this. Like, he set it all up. But then, rereading this now, I kind of got to go back up real fast to Amy's part of the investigation. She said there's a man and a woman. We know that the man and the woman are, I would say, Mary Jane and Steve, who she feels know each other. But then here she says she feels that three people are involved with the situation. Two men and one woman. So let me tell you how I'm going to interpret it, and then you tell me what you think. So,
Okay.
two ways. Two men and a woman. Could be Jiggs and Steve, and then Mary. But my thought is, which I just had, what if it's two men and a woman are involved in, those are the three, and what if that one woman is Sheriff Jiggs' wife and she ended up hiring two people or getting two people to go and kill them?
Oh.
Because that's Amy
Yeah.
says that the situation involves two men and one woman. So I'm trying to figure out, is it just Steve and Sheriff Jiggs? But to me, you're a sheriff, so why would you spread the bodies apart? I feel like it's definitely, I feel like he's not a smart man, but he's smarter than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought, rereading this, what if that's why the sheriff was trying to get Mary to get away from Steve, because he knew that his wife was up to this.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was a robbery gone wrong, because
Absolutely was not a robbery gone wrong.
that just seems...
Even if, like, it was those two who had done it, it wasn't a robbery gone wrong. That was an excuse.
Yeah, there's definitely... Because why... A robbery gone wrong, I get you bring a gun, but I don't know. Like, you really... Why would you drag Mary Jane's body all the way out there? A mile away.
Yeah.
Like, it's not far, but a mile away. Why wouldn't you just leave her there? There's no way that she ran a whole mile before you guys could catch up to her.
It
And
was not a robbery gone wrong.
again, we never got answers to why her clothes were off. She was found in just her underwear and her bra. Nobody knows.
That's so weird.
This case has been driving me crazy. Crazy. Like, I just can't... Like, there's obviously a ton of cold cases, but I don't... Like, the thing with her head not matching her body drives me... It confuses me.
No, it's so weird.
It really confuses me to how that's possible. Like, why would you decapitate a head? What's the purpose? Did they decapitate a head, and did they kill another person? Oh, new theory. Did they kill another person, switch the heads out, hoping that they wouldn't realize that it's Mary Jane, and that that solid dark spirit is that other girl who got killed?
I mean, it could be.
New theory right there. Doesn't make much sense, but I just don't know why this dark theory is refusing to let these people talk.
That's
Why? Why is
honestly terrifying.
why is this dark spirit not letting the victims, not letting the living, not letting the employees talk about their experience?
More important question, why are the employees still working there?
Honestly, I want to know how much they're getting paid. Because I honestly don't think
Whatever it is, it's not enough.
no, I honestly would not work there. I worked there one day and they're like, "Oh, we're haunted by the way." I'm like, "Okay, I'm out of here, bye."
Do you think they have to disclose that before hiring
Before you,
someone?
I don't know because then it's like the thing of, well, what if you get skeptics? Like, I know, and it kind of came up in another thing. I think it was a podcast I was listening to. Do you have to disclose that that a house is haunted whenever you're selling it? I know you have to disclose that there's a murder there, that if a murder happened, but what if there's a haunting? Do you have to tell that? Like the
Probably
people
not,
who
but
bought the Conjuring house, were they
I, I,
aware?
I, I'd want someone to tell me if the house was haunted before I bought it.
Literally, me too. Me too.
If
It's
I was
just
a real
so
estate agent, I'd be like, hey, glad you love the house. Just so you
yeah,
know, it is super duper haunted.
yeah. I I truly hope that even though Mary Jane is possibly trapped in that restaurant until her case is solved, like that happens a lot of times with spirits, that her mother ended up finding her in the afterlife and was able to get some kind of closure. Just
Yeah,
imagine not getting that closure of what happened to your daughter. Like that's awful.
that is awful.
And it's just and you would think that there would be something somewhere that would help solve this case. This happens with so many cases where they become cold, and it's so upsetting that they are not solved. I don't
That's
know.
awful. That whole case is so
It's
weird.
it is insane, and that's what I was trying. I was trying to find a story about how it's really hard to find stories about how paranormal have committed crimes, like how paranormal have been in charge of committing a crime. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times it's just this ghost came from this crime. So I was definitely trying to find something like this. And for some reason, just like true crime is something that I'm just also obsessed with besides spooky stuff, even though I'm not really obsessed with spooky stuff because it spooks me out very bad. But just, I've never heard a case like this.
No,
And
I
I
haven't
listen
either.
to true crime podcasts and all that stuff, and I've never heard a case like this. And I still keep going back to the whole head thing. That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
And that dark spirit, I just don't know. I do know that I'm definitely gonna have to start watching the Dead Files though. There's like 15 seasons.
Oh,
If yeah, there's a ton of seasons. So they might be my main source of information from now on. Because
all your things are just going to be repeats of the Dead File episodes.
literally it'll be like, okay, we're doing season 1, episode 1 of the Dead Files. This is our case. No, but I just couldn't believe it. I really could not. And it was like I would go back and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I'd read it again and I'd be like, well, that makes sense. But now it really doesn't make that much sense.
None of it makes any sense.
Nope. I don't know. Hopefully, let's see. We're going on 75 years of the death, it seems to be, from what I Googled.
Wow.
75 years. Yep, on June 24th, 1948, Mary's shift ended at 10 p.m., where they went to multiple taverns. On June 29th is when they found Mary's body. So from 1948 to 2023 is 75 years of this case not going anywhere. And I almost feel horrible for Mike, the former mayor, because he's lost his home and trying to solve this case. And I wonder, is it Mary or is it this dark entity that's getting him to put all his money into this knowing that it'll never be solved?
Yeah,
What if
that's
it's
a
not?
good question.
Like he says that it's Mary who's activities creeping up. But to me, it sounds like Mary and Steve are stuck in the basement of the building and they can't leave. It sounds like
Yeah,
they're stuck there. Like they can't even. So I'm wondering if it's this dark spirit that's not forcing him to put all his time and money in this, knowing that he will never solve it.
that's just so weird.
I know. Do you have any other theories besides what I said?
I don't.
It's literally
It's
hard
like such
to
a
wrap your head around.
confusing case.
Very, very confusing.
Like, I can't think of anything that
It's
would have
like
been the cause of it.
it's either the deputy hired the two brothers, or my theory about the wife hiring the two brothers.
Yeah.
I just don't know why the brothers confessed and why the sheriff didn't do anything. It's
Well,
all
I'm thinking if the sheriff didn't do anything, then, like, the sheriff was definitely involved somehow.
had to be.
Like, if two people come and are like, hey, we're the reason this person's dead, and they just don't do anything, it, like, there was definitely some involvement.
Yep. And to me, how were they not able to get another sheriff to come and be the lead detective?
Yeah.
Why was Jiggs the lead detective if he had so much involvement with Mary? Did he hide that he had that much involvement with her?
Probably, honestly.
Like, just don't have an affair with a 17-year-old whenever you're 42 years old. Just
is
don't do it.
that is that is that this week's lesson?
Oh, is that this week's advice? Yeah. Don't have an affair. Don't have an affair. That's
Don't have an affair.
just period. Oh my gosh. Any other advice? Let's see. I had one earlier and now I forget what it is.
Don't work at a haunted restaurant.
Yes, don't work in a haunted restaurant. That's for sure. That is for sure. Don't dig up dead bodies.
Don't dig up dead bodies.
Even though he didn't do it, he hired a professional to do it. I still don't recommend it because then it adds a confusing twist into something you're doing. I'm glad that is over because I've been thinking about that case for forever, and it's time to move on to a new. Do you have an idea of what your story is going to be next week?
I do not.
Ooh, I was going to say, do you want to give us a hint? But
No, I've got no clue.
That's exciting. I think I have a feeling of what my next one's going to be, but I don't know. The next one we might have to record it during the day because I'm a little spooked. That's for sure. All right. Well, our socials.
Go follow our socials. They're linked somewhere. Can you, like, link things on Spotify? I don't know how Spotify works.
I did. I think I did.
Oh.
I put it in there, but I don't know if it ended up working or not.
Maybe. Go follow our socials. They're linked somewhere.
Somewhere where you can find them. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok,
YouTube.
I always forget about YouTube. I forget about YouTube.
I still haven't uploaded last week's to YouTube yet.
Our bad. We were busy last week.
It's okay. It'll get uploaded. Look, it's your fault because you didn't send the finished one.
Okay. No need to blame.
You didn't send me the finished one. You could have, and that would have solved the problem, but you're slacking, so.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do have them linked. I also have our link tree linked in our bio on Spotify of the description of the episode, so click that and you can find everything.
That'll bring us all the socials.
Yep. We also have our email. Is it on our link tree?
It's not, but I can add it, maybe.
I don't know. But our email is sinisterspookystoriespod@gmail.com. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. You can't comment on Spotify, which is really annoying.
But you can go comment on YouTube.
That's for sure. You definitely can.
And that'll give us some engagement.
Yes, please. All right. Well, wasn't too much of a spooky. I mean, it kind of was spooky. It was just very confusing.
It was more confusing than spooky.
Yes. Definitely in 2 weeks, though, my next story is going to be very spooky.
I'm scared.
You should be. I'm scared for what you're going to do.
I am too. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Do you want me to share my Google Doc I have to give you ideas?
No, I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up scary story compilation, and then
That's
I'll
literally
find one of them.
that's literally how I found this. Is that I looked up
Oh.
scary, spooky, haunted mystery cases or whatever. Yep. All right. Watch
Oh,
Dylan is
smart.
chilling. He'll help you.
He will.
All right. Follow our socials. Email us. Comment on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell your families. Don't dig up dead bodies and don't have affairs. Good? Any other
Yeah,
advice?
no.
All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.